Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And now we seem to know where Henry Cavill went to. Henry Cavill out of The Witcher, out of Superman, and supposedly he's going to be working on Warhammer 40,000 for Amazon. I have concerns, given that it's Amazon.
Well, yeah, but I mean, what's more concerning to me is it's like basically he announced it, but they don't have a home for it for sure, and they don't have a director, a writer, or anything, other than we're going to make it.
We're going to make it. Hopefully they make it. Hopefully it's not as bad as Lord of the Rings.
If they do make it, though, and he's allowed to do what he wants to do, it might be amazing.
It might be. Now, this is my first thought. A couple years ago, they had articles out there that he wanted to play the Emperor of Mankind, and he is an avid Warhammer fan. Now, here's the thing. This is an Amazon series, right? And he was very disappointed in The Witcher. That supposedly led to him splitting from The Witcher, and this is another thing he's a big fan of. So we'll see how it goes.
But now he's talking about producing it, so he'd be like kind of in charge of it.
Yeah. So we'll talk about this because it seems like it's going to happen one way or another.
Talking about Henry Cavill. Oh no, I can't. How am I going to force myself? Okay.
You can muscle through it.
I can.
Just wait. That was bad phrasing. You can.
Okay.
Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Over 282, almost 283,000 subs. We're like less than 100 away, so hit the subscribe button.
Make sure you're still subscribed, because there's been some weird stuff.
Because it's YouTube, and then when they get busted, they're like, whoa, we don't know what happened. Because we had an incident. Now, I don't know if there were shenanigans going on or not, but the other day we had some weirdness with our homepage. New videos would not appear on our homepage. So we reached out to our contact at YouTube, and we're like, hey, YouTube, what's up with that? We actually tagged in Team YouTube on Twitter, got no reply. Our person at YouTube was just like, well, looks like it's fixed now. And so they will fix things when you bust them doing it, just like the Captain Corey situation. Like when they're called out and it becomes public that they're up to shenanigans or somebody there. I don't think it's YouTube as a whole. I think there are people at the company who might not like particular channels' content that might just flip a switch here and there. Whoopsie doopsie, we don't know what happened.
I'm a keyboard warrior.
I'm a keyboard warrior. Yeah, so that's what I think. Anyway, everything's fine now. So yeah, just make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications. Henry Cavill put this up on, I think, Instagram. So thank you, Burner, for sending this over. For 30 years, I have dreamt of seeing a Warhammer universe in live action. Now, after 22 years of experience in the industry, I finally feel that I have the skill set and experience to guide a Warhammer cinematic universe into life. Partnering with Natalie Viscuso at Vertigo has been a blessing beyond words. Without her, we might not have found the perfect home at Amazon. And having a home like Amazon will give us the freedom to be... Give us the freedom to be true to the massive scope of Warhammer.
No, you know what? You know what, though? They might. Because the Lord of the Rings was such a colossal failure. And they're like, shit, what did we do wrong? Well, where do we start? How much time do you have? And you have someone coming in who actually is, big into the actual. It didn't just do it because they wanted to get a show picked up. Actually means something to him. And we saw that on The Witcher, he was trying to get things, done in a way that was, reflective of the work. And they gave him a hard time. I don't think he'd go to Amazon and be working with him if he didn't think that he had enough power over the project to make it, accurate to the project. And after they lost so much with Lord of the Rings, they might be willing to listen.
Yeah, maybe. To all of you Warhammer fans out there, I promise to respect this IP that we love. I promise to bring you something familiar.
Oh.
And I endeavor to bring you something fantastic that is as of yet unseen. Our first steps are to find our filmmaker, creator, writer, watch this space for the Emperor.
Well, no, interesting though. I promise to respect the IP.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were speculating before about Witcher and you're like, well, he didn't say that. Yeah, no, that's what's going on. He left Witcher because they did not respect the IP. They did not respect the fans. They did not make it feel familiar.
And he basically got booted from Superman, as I understand it, because they want to reboot the DC universe.
Yeah, but they're keeping the Black Superman movie.
Well, that's technically in Elseworlds. So
well, it was. Do you want to bet they changed that?
Well, they said they were going to do a younger version of Clark Kent. I thought they said that, but who the hell knows? Who knows? At this point, I'm like, I think Henry Cavill is a great Superman who was in
shitty
movies. Yeah, I think that's a pretty.
I didn't like the first one he did. I thought it was too dark, and
I'm
like, Superman doesn't kill people. What the hell?
Yeah, I thought it was too dark too. Anyway. They said that he's attached to star in and executive produce a series adaptation of Warhammer 40,000, the popular science fiction fantasy miniature war game that's set up at Amazon. They've secured the rights to the game produced by Games Workshop after months of negotiations and fending off rival companies that also sought the rights.
I think whoever got it was going to get Henry Cavill, though, probably.
Probably. I mean, this is like The Witcher and Warhammer are like his two things like that.
Yeah, I know. And then the thing is, Amazon, they have to do damage control with fans. I mean, of course they're going to bring Henry Cavill in because fans are like, liking him because they wanted him back as Superman, and they like the fact that he stood up for The Witcher.
One of these days, one of these studios, somebody is going to have a light bulb go off over their head and be like, you know what? The solution's very simple. If we just respect the IP and give the fans what they want and produce a series or a movie that is akin to the franchise that has existed for decades, they might actually watch and enjoy it.
And we hire people that, care about the franchise and don't want to see it destroyed instead of just using a name to push their own, narratives and, fan fiction. We might make money and we can make it diverse without making it all about being diverse.
That is true.
I mean, hot damn. You can print money then.
They could have printed money with Halo, and they effed that up.
Oh, God, Halo. I forgot about that train wreck.
They could, and they admitted that they didn't want to be beholden to the lore of the games. They didn't play the games.
They keep admitting.
Come on.
They aren't admitting it publicly for everything, but basically from The Witcher and from what we've heard, they didn't want to be beholden to the source material on that one either.
Yeah,
so.
And same with Lord of the Rings. They got rid of the Tolkien.
They can speak Elvish, which is why they got the job.
So Warhammer's like Dungeons and Dragons. Dice are involved. Oh my God. Dice are involved in the playing, but it also features intricate miniatures, very expensive miniatures that are a constant revenue source. The players can place and move around a model. This is so funny. This is like explaining it to like somebody's mom. It's like Dungeons and Dragons. Dice are
figures.
Dice are involved, which Dungeons and Dragons too. You can. You don't
I know, but I'm just.
Dice are involved in the playing, but also features intricate miniatures that players can place and move around to model, construct a battlefield or world. Games Workshop in the 1980s made miniatures for D&D and launched the game in '87. That was a huge kerfuffle, I guess, too. They kind of went out and did their own thing. It has grown to become the most popular miniature war game in the world and has spawned many imitators. It's 40,000 years in the future where things are dark and things are fascist and Trump. No, I put that in there because that's everybody's going there. So they have to explain the whole Warhammer lore. Cavill is known to be a Warhammer fan and paints figures. Because the project is in such early stages, to reiterate, Amazon has yet to close the deal.
That's what I said. They haven't closed it completely.
This is not the next gig for Cavill, who recently announced he was exiting from The Witcher. It's an ambitious move for Amazon. Could deliver a show that's epic in scale as it combines the big genre elements of sci-fi and fantasy as well as a host of human, non-human characters.
I think it actually has potential to do more than Lord of the Rings because people already had an idea in their head of what Lord of the Rings was because of the films. And unless you play the game Warhammer, it's going to be a world open to people that they aren't familiar with. So there isn't already established, this is what I expect.
So it actually, look, they're Amazon. So Amazon owns Twitch, right? And Amazon.
I know they said they did it. Amazon didn't get the rights. So go ahead.
Oh, okay. They've officially.
That's when they added it. Because I know when I checked it the other day, they hadn't had the rights yet, but they did get the rights.
So they own Twitch. The biggest streamers on Twitch, I believe, are Critical Role. They have a Critical Role animated series on Amazon. So for them, it is kind of a smart move to be like, okay, well, tabletop's doing it for us. Let's bring in another tabletop franchise.
And let's bring in Cavill, who the fans love, who is very familiar with the source material and who the fans will trust to man it.
And then let's fuck it all up by hiring a bunch of people that don't care.
I don't think they can do that. But also, like I said, with Lord of the Rings, expectations were already coming into it because people were familiar with the films. A lot of people read the books, but a lot of people didn't, let's be honest. And they were coming into it from looking at the films. I'm one of those people. I admit that. But you read the books. Mm-hmm. But with this one, unless you played the game and you've been playing the game for years, most people haven't been. And it's going to be wide open that you can pretty much do what you want and people aren't going to be like, this isn't Lord of the Rings. You know what I mean? This isn't Warhammer. I mean, the fans of the game. I'm saying general public. I'm not talking about the fans. I'm talking about general audiences.
I think sometimes, boy, this is where it's tricky. I think sometimes when you have a niche franchise that has a dedicated fan base, those fans are more passionate than the normies. But finding, and that's what they did with Tolkien. They basically, with the Peter Jackson movies, they had to make Tolkien accessible to normies because Tolkien, if you read the books, very different from the movies and also very hard to read for a normie. Because
but it worked. They made it very accessible to normies.
They did.
But then the normies turned on Amazon because it wasn't like the books or the movies. And that's what I think you're going to have here. You're going to have a lot of people who are very, very big fans of the game. They're going to know the lore inside and out. I think Cavill's one of those people.
They're looking at Cyberpunk too. Cyberpunk was, and people keep forgetting, Cyberpunk was a tabletop role-playing game before it was a video game. And the anime basically saved Cyberpunk in the eyes of the public. But now
it's brought it to a wider audience. And I think that's what's going to happen here. And then because they're using something that, other than the people that play it all the time, most people know of it, but they aren't familiar with it, so that, they can... They have more to work with. Like, there's more wiggle room for them to make it appealing to people than when you already have it pigeonholed like Lord of the Rings.
So the other possibility, though, unfortunately, and this is that I've seen,
they're going to F it up.
Well, yeah, they'll F it up, or they will mainstream it. And
that could be too
what
much.
Will happen is, and this is kind of what I think we're kind of seeing with Cyberpunk, they'll mainstream it, and then you'll have a whole bunch of like normie fans come in. This is what happened with Dungeons and Dragons too.
Take over,
and they will co-opt the franchise.
Well, that's going to happen with anything. Like, it gets a TV show or movie on a big platform like Amazon. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what it is. I mean, as soon as it gets like a lot of mass appeal, you're going to have people come in and being like, well, that's problematic. So I'm going to go and scream. I'm going to read about how it's not inclusive enough for like that one woman who's mad because there wasn't an Asian with a wheelchair or whatever it was in the one RPG game.
Well, okay, since you mentioned that,
I forget exactly what they were complaining about, but I remember they were bitching about something.
They have been bitching about Warhammer 40K's fascist fandom. So this
so it's already started.
It started years ago. It basically what happened was, and this is what I think happened. I think we had normies and Tumblr people who are definitely abnormal get into tabletop gaming via D&D 5e. Specifically 5e, the Critical Role set, the whatever. They came in and then they started branching out into other RPGs, and they found Warhammer because that's, the next big franchise. And they're like, oh, hey, Warhammer, oh, this is kind of fascisty, isn't it? It's kind of Nazi-esque.
Scream and scream and scream till they cave and give us whatever we want.
Yeah, so that's my concern just in general is that...
You're probably not wrong there.
Henry Cavill might have good intentions, but we're talking Amazon. Right?
Yeah.
We're talking Amazon.
Well, Amazon, hey, you're listening. I'm just going to tell you right now, don't be stupid.
Yeah,
don't do Lord of the Rings all over again. If you want to make money and you want to succeed, you have a chance. But you're going to have to listen to the fans, and you're going to have to try to make it accessible to people, but true to itself.
And we know they won't.
No,
they won't.
Probably not.
So we'll see. We will watch.
They lost a lot of money with Lord of the Rings, so maybe.
Yes. Yeah, we'll see. We will see. So we're going to wrap this up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.